Yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try really hard not to cry this one, so, buckle up. Ladies and gentlemen, I've already failed you in my duties as best man today. But before I get to that, there are a few things I need to get out of the way. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Anthonys for the incredible evening they put together and for their hospitality this entire week. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the Oklahoma City Golf and Country Club for hosting us tonight.
Yeah.
And of course, I have to thank the All Nats, not only for this weekend, but for an entire lifetime of sleepovers, dinners, trips to Martha's Vineyard, and of course, for creating The Groom. I'm a big fan of your work. So glad to see Gran made it tonight. Love you, Gran. Save me a dance. I have to thank the lovely couple for the honor of allowing me to be Ollie's co-best man. How you talked Kelly into letting the Cyclops and myself be your co-best man, I'll never know. Speaking of which, how beautiful does Kelly look tonight? Now, for those of you who don't know who I am, shame on you. My name is Paddy Doheny, and I'm your co-best man. Now, I think it's time that I apologize for my subpar performance today. You see, when I set about writing this speech, I wanted to know, what is a best man? What makes him the best? So I did a deep dive, and I found that most of the traditions you see in today's weddings come from the 1700s. Now, as some of you may know, Ollie was a history major in college. He respects tradition, or so I thought before I witnessed today's ceremony. And in light of that, I thought I might tell you a little bit about how this wedding might have looked if it had stuck to the medieval traditions, or if perhaps this was 1621 and not 2021. Everything I'm about to tell you is 100% factually accurate, so buckle up. It's really weird, but it's fully real. Let me set the scene for you. I'm the best man. It's wedding day. I roll out of bed before the sun's even up. I'm naked except for a really, really long shirt. I throw on my armor, I strap on my sword. Outside my hovel, there's John. We get on our horses if they haven't been stolen. Now, as best man, I don't really know Ollie that well. I'm just the best swordsman in the village. Best swordsman, best man, see how that works? But Ollie's paying me really well, and I'm all about that cash. Anyway, we ride to Kelly's village. Sneak in, everyone's still asleep. Find Kelly. Check underneath her pillow to see if there's a piece of cake so we know you've got the right woman. Throw her on my horse, ride back, deliver her to Ollie. He's been waiting this whole time. Get up to the altar with Ollie and the priest, or if he's not available, the local druid. In comes Kelly. She's got a bouquet. What's in that bouquet? Oregano, parsley, thyme. Why? Because evil spirits hate that stuff. Of course. Now, it's time for the ceremony. While they recite their vows, I'm up there, one hand on Kelly's shoulder, the other on my sword. I'm watching out for rival suitors and for thieves who might want to steal Kelly's dowry. Also, you can't be too careful about those evil spirits. Halfway through the ceremony, Ollie throws a shoe at Kelly to establish his authority. Then it's over. I do. You may kiss the bride. Now come the bridesmaids. They're dressed exactly like Kelly and even kind of look like her. That's why they were picked. They're dancing in circles around her. We get outside, all the bridesmaids scatter, running in different directions. Again, this is to confuse the thieves who are trying to get that dowry. And also to confuse, I'm going to say it again, say it with me now. Evil spirits, good job, people. Now, with my job complete, we head to the reception where I get so drunk I can't stand, and we enjoy a feast of spiced plums and boiled goose. And then I die before my 28th birthday. Now, if you were listening really carefully, you might have been able to pick out a few subtle differences between my story and how today's ceremony went. I could have been the best man. But Kelly just had to come willingly and throw the whole thing off. I'm so sorry, Ollie. But seriously, now that I've gotten that out of the way, I do want to speak from the heart. I may be the best man, but my real duty today is to tell you why Ollie is the best, man. Ollie and I met in the 90s. Now I have many friends in this room who I've known since the days when we were wetting our pants, which is to say college. But when I was writing this speech, I came to realize I don't actually have any memories before Ollie was a part of my life. That's a crazy thing to think about. I've known this man my entire life. You see, we met at Calvary Christian School at the tender age of 3. Aww. Thanks. I'm told we were friends instantly. John McKee entered the picture only a few years later, and he never left. Partially because we grew to love John, but as John said, partially because his dad was the leader of the Boy Scout troop, so we were allowed to get rid of him. Happy birthday, John Sr. Fast forward to high school. During those years, we added a few more to the pack. You know who you are. And I'm glad you all made it here safe and sound. But looking back at those years and all the years that followed, it feels like an impossible task to try to pick any one story that could stand for all that we've shared. I mean, how do you sum up a 29-year friendship? Well, the answer is that you don't even try. Thank you. You've been a great audience. No, just kidding. I'm kidding. From summers in Martha's Vineyard to Sun Valley to all those times in Westlake, well, those experiences with Ollie and the rest of the gang, they made me, and I think they made the rest of us as well. I think they called those times your formative years for a reason. And I also have to give a shout out to my mom, Leslie, who is here in this audience, for everything she did during those crazy, crazy years and continues to do. Next for Ollie was SMU, where the quality of his friends went downhill. JK. And by that I mean just kidding. Come on, guys. Then with college behind us, we settled into our adult lives. And it was then that something started to dawn on me. In the last few years, I came to a realization that sounds quite sad. I'm gonna do a little switch around on you, so don't panic. But here's what I realized. On paper, Ollie and I don't make a lot of sense. For example, Ollie lives and dies by the Lakers, the Dodgers. I've seen Ollie rip a jersey in two and run partially up a wall after a particularly bad Super Bowl loss. Whereas I become livid if the wrong person gets snubbed at the Emmys. Ollie's wardrobe is almost entirely J. Crew, whereas I went through a period where I wore rings on every finger. We don't talk about those days. Ollie's ideal Sunday involves hitting the driving range before taking in a swim at the beach club. Mine would be rainy, sleeping in, drinking coffee, doing a little writing. What I'm saying is we are two very different birds. But, get the two of us in a room together or on the phone, and none of that matters. None of it. I would eat at any restaurant in the world with this man just to hear him describe the meal. He's my favorite person to disagree with movie reviews. And yesterday, I golfed. If that doesn't spell it out for you, let me be clearer. I would do anything for this man. You see, there's a certain magic to old friendships. When you've known someone through 1,000 different versions of themselves, as I have with Ollie, from the Ollie as a toddler mooning my grandmother, to Ollie as a chubby child asking, "What's that over there?" so he can steal all my French fries, to the sports fanatic, to the armchair historian, to the terrified flyer. When you've known someone in all the evolutions of who they are, they become a part of you. And I'm a better person for having Ollie as a part of me. I'm an only child. So the way I've always looked at things is this. Damn it, I said I wouldn't get choked up. I only child. Hang on. I'm sorry, I'm bad at this. I'm an only child, so the way I've always looked at things is this. I've gotten to choose my siblings, and Ollie was the first brother I ever had. I have no doubt that he will make an amazing... All right, back on schedule. After a few years after college, Kelly entered our lives. I knew she was special right away. Ollie's taste in people is almost as good as his taste in falafel. But at first, I don't think I understood Kelly, not completely. You see, she was lovely, kind, clearly very intelligent, but soft-spoken and somewhat shy. And so I wondered, will she be able to keep up with Ollie? But that's because I wasn't getting the full picture. Now, I'm very LA, as you can probably guess. And Kelly, I would say, describes herself maybe as a cowgirl. Of course, after all the time she's spent in LA, she's sort of the opposite of that now, maybe a reverse cowgirl. Some of my favorite nights in the last year were entirely orchestrated by Kelly. For example, for her birthday, she hosted a murder mystery dinner party. And for one beautiful night, we all got to come together as friends and forget about 2020, forget about the coronavirus, and just eat pizza and kill each other over a fictional inheritance. For the record, I was the murderer and I got away with it too. You did. Now, I've had plenty of wonderful times getting to know Kelly, but I remember when everything clicked for me. A few years ago, I was at a low point. I was unsure of where to go with my career, the direction of my life, and so I asked Ollie to dinner because I needed his counsel. When I arrived, Kelly was with him. I felt a little uneasy. This is going to be a very vulnerable conversation, and Kelly and I hadn't spent much time together. I needed a bro night, bro. But then, over the course of dinner, Kelly's advice surprised me. I won't get into the specifics, but suffice to say, Kelly's advice was wise, nurturing, it showed care and tact, and it was advice that was catered very directly to me and what I needed at that moment. Ollie's advice, But that was when I knew. That was when I knew that someday I'd be here, obviously best man, come on, giving a speech to honor this man and this woman. I am so glad I wasn't wrong. I'd like to wrap up with a quote by one of my favorite authors, a Colombian by the name of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He wrote, "My heart has more rooms than a whorehouse." I certainly feel that way. Ollie's got a room, a suite really. So does John. In fact, most of the rooms in this whorehouse heart of mine are reserved for people in this room. And so I just want to say, Kelly, welcome to the whorehouse. Let's raise our glasses to this incredible couple. I love you guys. All right, folks, we're gonna head to the dance floor now for the first shake. Celebrate this lovely couple. But that's all I got.